Most people I talk to don't have an interest in anything theoretical. Things like philosophy, society, existence, or pie-in-the-sky ideas don't seem to help us in any measurable way. There are other things that make more immediate sense to us. Business, groceries, politics, even celebrity drama make more sense to talk about than random shit like Sonder relativity. And I totally get that. We live in a society, and a society forces you to play by its rules. Sometimes people literally don't have the time to engage in deep thought because they are too busy trying to get by. But if you clicked on this video, you seem to have a bit of time to listen to my thoughts. I won't take long, but allow my thoughts to go into your head and kickstart your own thoughts, because sometimes you need to get your brain moving a little bit. Big ideas and concepts that make no practical sense, I believe, serve a practical purpose, even utopia. What is a utopia? Depending on who you ask, a utopia is essentially a perfect society. Well, some people think it's merely just an ideal society where people are treated generally fairly and equally. And the word used to mean no society. All of those definitions have something in common though, and that is that a utopia is impossible. So pack it up, cuties, the revolution's not happening. But hold on a second, equality is impossible? Quality of life is impossible? You mean to tell me that we can travel through space, communicate with one another across the entire planet in less than a second, and create complex economic and social systems that literally run the world, but we can't assure that women get paid properly? We can't assure that a trans person cannot be murdered in broad daylight merely because they are trans? We can't solve world hunger? Bullshit. Of course, these things aren't utopian, but they are a part of a utopian society. You can't have a utopia without equal rights, without equality, without general well-being, but those ideas themselves can exist outside of a utopia. It should be no surprise that we do have the resources to feed everyone on Earth, in fact, but we don't use them. Most food that is produced gets wasted and disposed of. Same goes for products. We have made it a fact of this world that we can make a surplus of goods, but if you don't get past the paywall, you get nothing. And as a result, everything that could have gone to a poor family gets thrown in the ocean. And the poor family starves. I say that to give an example of how we are literally the ones holding ourselves back. Another example is that in the medical field, we are able to detect certain cancer cells and kill them with lasers. It's really fucking cool, yet there are still thousands of doctors out there that believe that black people have thicker skin. Of course, those are different specialties, but you get the point. We should have no excuse when it comes to a basic understanding. Whether it's food distribution, medical practice, or societal legislation, we can do better. If anyone tells you an ideal world is impossible, wake up, sheeple. That's what they want you to think. Big capitalism has you all brainwashed, but not me. Okay, jokes aside, it's actually kinda true. Capitalists and proponents of capitalism will straight up tell you that we are destined to end up under capitalism and that it is the only solution we've got. How convenient for everyone benefiting from it, huh? Honestly, y'all watching have likely already reached this conclusion. Capitalism bad, social constructs too restrictive, humanity cooked. But where most people stop is there. What do we do about it? Organizing, boycotting, mutual aid, charity, protesting, community engagement, emailing and calling representatives and legislative leaders are some of the many tangible things that you can do that'll have big impacts, but they're not always accessible. I understand. I think a good place to start, honestly, is just to find out what an ideal life is for you and to live it. Contribute to an ideal life for others if you can. You can do all of that by doing the activist work you mentioned before, but if you don't have the time or resources, then you can just live your life in the best way you can. Kind of fake it till you make it, really. Fake that you're living in a utopia. I'll give you an example. If your dream is to live on a farm with your friends, well, you can't really go buy some land and then live off the land yourselves, but maybe you all can exchange mutual aid with one another. Or you could even start a Minecraft server and live your dreams there. It's like, it sounds silly, but just trying to utilize the principles of a good quality life, of a life under utopia in your regular life, may actually help you live your practical life. I love how author Devin Price put it.
I hate that logic that people often trot out of like, oh, sure, I wish the world worked differently, but this is how the world works, and so you need to just, deal with it. Like, my counter to that is always like, what kind of world are we trying to build? Like, if we don't want to be in this world with these sets of rules of respectability politics, we have to be, like, as human beings, the ones to create it. I think if we say, yeah, so this twink had sex in the Senate chambers.
Okay, we can cut the clip. It may seem like an obvious thing, but it isn't always. Like, a Senate intern having gay sex in the Senate chamber may sound like a weird thing to do, and definitely not a good image for queer people, but straight people have sex in the Senate chamber too. You don't see anyone justifying homonormativity because of that. So fuck it. Have sex in the Senate chamber. This is such a weird example, but it's a good one because of the whole video. It's a great video, and I highly recommend it. Devin Price and Matt Bernstein talk about how the annoying gays are not the problem. People who are too weird or too much, they're not your enemies. People have a right to exist, and they are going to, whether people like it or not. It may not be the best image for the fight for queer rights, but we shouldn't even be having this fight in the first place, right? But many people are human and they want equality as soon as possible. So tweets like this are going to echo a lot of people's sentiment. But we may not live in an ideal world where queer people can be messy and imperfect without it hurting other queer people, but it's up to us to create that world. Even if it's just in our minds and in our personal circles, that is how society changes. And that is what I took from Price's quote. I also use this example because the queer movement has the same goal as all other movements for equality and for rights, including class rights and workers' rights. We are all oppressed in some way or another, and our oppression is caused by the same system. If one fight prevails, we'll all prevail. And when we all prevail, guess what? Society's great. We are so back. Who wants to start a revolution? The TLDW of this video is that we should have conversations about theoretical things. Whether or not they are practical right now, we should at least plant the seed into societal conscience, or carry out the same ideals the best way we can. Because hey, for over 100 years, people have planted anti-capitalist seeds, and they're kind of working. It's literally up to us right now to contribute to making the world a better place. And even if you only do a little bit to contribute, that's still a little bit that wouldn't have gotten done without you.